I'm going to quickly show two more WIF posts because it's more important that we recognize when a reply post is not adding to the learning process. Unfortunately, many of the reply posts we see, especially early in people's programs, don't add that required depth and content. So we want to understand how to grab those reply posts and move them into the depth and critical thinking that we're expecting, just as we'd see in a live classroom. So here as we look at this additional WIF example, we saw the person say, "Hi Shannon, that's great, good relationship building. I would love to win that gift card too. It's irritating to take a survey and nothing happens." And then they want to sell you something. Well, again, as we read through this, the person says it's happened a couple times. I'm taking a survey, but I don't want to give my information out, even if there's a prize. Well, that's good to know, but it doesn't really address marketing concepts. It doesn't have any critical thinking or any marketing terms involved. This could be just casual conversations between friends and it's supposed to be a learning environment between students. Now, this person could have gone one step further and talked about the challenges the company have in collecting information and why it's important for them to have that information for demographic purposes. That would have made this at least a passing post because that would have been adding new concepts. However, we can't give the student the benefit of the doubt that they were thinking that because there's no reference to those concepts here in the post. But that's how a simple change can make a post which is very mediocre or actually substandard average to great by adding only sometimes one or two sentences. It's not something that's going to take a person 3 or 4 hours to do. It's simply asking that person to come back to the content, come back to the chapters assigned, and make a solid connection between what they're writing and the initial post. The next example I'm going to say is, for lack of a better or nicer way to say it, even worse. It says, "I agree with you. That's okay to agree with them." It says, "Both surveys are worth the chance to win some financial relief. I would have taken them too." And that's it. It's well worth the companies give products as gifts because it allows them to take the info and make necessary improvements. Okay. What we're seeing here is, again, 40 words. Maybe I didn't count them. But there is nothing here to really sink our teeth into. When we look at this, again, this could be a casual conversation between two friends and not between two students. What we're looking for here in the discussion forums are conversations between students attempting to learn and understand concepts at a greater level. This post is pretty short. There's no word requirement for this particular post, but when you see a short one like this, it's pretty indicative it's not likely to be a high point earning post. This one doesn't exhibit any critical thinking, does not add any ideas, and does not clarify any questions or concerns of the initial post. There's also, by the way, at least 4 grammar, spelling, and word use problems in this post, which makes the post harder to read. In the grading rubric, this is at the bottom level because it's distracting from the learning process, and therefore is going to earn a very small number of points. Now we're going to move to another example, and this is a passing reply post. This is better because it brings up a new idea. Here we see the same initial post, the same initial assignment, but here the student says, "I agree that they're sometimes used to test new products, but I believe they also are used to get a pulse of just where the products stand in the eyes of consumers." So the first 2 sentences of this post kind of tend to repeat the initial post, and that can be kind of fluff in a discussion. We need to work to minimize that fluff. The new idea, though, or the clarification, is that surveys also collect information on current products. The initial post did not discuss that. So the initial post excluded that and focused only on surveys for new product development. So here the student correctly added that surveys on existing products are a vital part of marketing. That is expanding the discussion and bringing in additional concepts from the text and from the discipline of where surveys might be used. This is what we're looking for. Now, this is a passing post because out of 63 words, only about 20 of them are related to this addition of new ideas, and 20 words aren't really going to justify a great grade. But they're at least going to get us into that passing range. Had there been another solid addition of new concepts, maybe only another 20 to 30 words, this could have been a great reply instead of a passing reply and could have been in that top level of points for this particular assignment. Now let's look at a great reply post. We're going to end this particular video on a strong note because it's always good to end on a strong note. The initial reply, again, isn't important because you can tell from the reply post that critical thinking is present and that new ideas and clarifications are being added. As we look at it, we can see that our first clue that this might be a great post is the length. Now, more words do not necessarily equate to great content because we've all seen posts with a lot of fluff. However, it is hard to adequately cover it's hard to adequately cover any topic with only 4 sentences. So the presence of 2 paragraphs is a good first impression as we begin to read the reply post. We see that actually what happens here is that the student also directly brings us back to the specific place in the textbook where the content is present. And that's a really great thing to do. And it's very helpful to other students who need to know, where do I need to find this information? We then see some anecdotal comments, which are fine because they're combined with strong and appropriate comments. We see they say that, I understand that you think this, I'm not saying you're wrong, but I'm thinking something different. So as they move to the second paragraph, they're pointing out the issues with the first post. They again point back to the text as a source and describe why they think the post is incorrect. They say, I think it's conjoint testing or conjoint analysis, testing attributes, and that's terminology directly out of the textbook. So this reply contains several key concepts from the chapter. You've got the terms customer satisfaction, focus groups, market research, and conjoint analysis. These are all vocabulary directly out of the text. And here we see that this student is attempting to add greater content and greater understanding by showing in the textbook how the textbook can add to this discussion. This student has clearly read the textbook and has made a strong attempt at integrating those concepts into his or her reply post. This is not the type of conversation you're going to see between casual friends because most people don't talk about conjoint analysis unless you're talking about marketing research. So in conclusion, this video focused more on passing and whiff posts because quite frankly it's really easy to understand and recognize high quality posts, and sometimes those posts which are whiffs and passing are a little more difficult to recognize. That's why we wanted to focus here on what really are passing and whiffs. When you see great work, it's easy to recognize it. It's the mediocre to poor work which is sometimes a little more challenging. It's our responsibility as instructors to hold students accountable for good, strong, contributory reply posts that match their criteria of adding new ideas, providing clarification, analyzing, critiquing if that's necessary, indicating what needs to be improved upon, and in general, helping the course through the workshop discussion experience lead to greater and deeper understanding. We need to see that those reply posts build upon the foundations of the initial posts and either push, pull, or both all students involved to a greater level of understanding in this back and forth discussion process, just as we would have happen in a live lecture environment in a classroom.